All right, so it's time for us to start painting the second square. The first one took the longest because it had the most details. The next one shouldn't take that much time. So we have to choose a second complementary color pair. So we did red and green here. The next one I think I'm going to try out is blue and orange. I love blue and orange. So I'm now going to get out my blue and my orange paint. And I still have some white left on this, so I'm just going to leave that there. So what you need to do again to open these, if they are still sealed, is you take off the lid. You can see that foil seal here, and you take your lid and you use the pointy part in the lid to puncture that foil seal. And then the paint will be allowed to come out. And then you put some on your palette. Mine is a little watery, that's okay. Usually I use just about an M&M sized blob of paint. So there's my orange blob, here's my blue blob. And then I just need to decide, do I want orange in my object or orange in my background? And I think I'm gonna do orange in my background just because that's what I'm feeling right now. So I'm going to start with my background this time, just because orange is lighter than blue. So if I make a mistake and I get orange on my object, blue will paint right over it. So since my orange paint is kind of a little bit watery, it's spreading really quickly, and you want to be careful on this edge. And I'm out of orange paint. I'm going to get a little bit more. Go. And for this one, I'm using the medium-sized brush in the background. You can use any brush you want. If you're more comfortable with the large or the small, that is totally fine. It's up to you. And now I'm going in closer to my object, so I want to be slow and more careful. And try to get as close to the object as possible without painting inside the line. And then I also can't forget to paint this part that is part of the background because there's this hole in my object. Wow, in this light my object looks orange. So again, in this square I used red and green. I know it looks blue, but it is green, I promise. Because red and green are complements, and now we're moving on to orange and blue in our next square. Because this is our color complement painting, we will use complementary colors in each square. Okay, so I am done with my background. I'm going to put my brush in the water here, and I'm going to use my small brush to paint my object blue. Now in reality, my object, not blue, but that's okay. This is a little bit abstract because we're using complementary colors, even if that is not the real color of the object. And again, after I'm done painting everything, I will go in and add some highlights with white and some shadows with black. But for now, I'm just trying to make sure that I have my main colors down on every square. So my complementary colors, blue and orange in this square, red and green in the first one, it looks like I might have, oh, that is a dry piece of paint. So I might have to get a little bit more of my blue paint out. But that's okay, we can always get more, we can't put it back once it's out of there, so there we go. Oops. And we are almost done with this square. And as you can see, I did make a mistake, I wiped it off with my finger. If your paint is still wet and you get paint somewhere that you don't want it to be, you can always try to wipe it off. If not, if you're nervous that will mess it up more, you can let it dry and then just paint over it with white first and then a different color, whatever you're most comfortable with. Okay, so I now have my squares mostly finished. I noticed right here I missed a spot with my orange. Okay, so now I am done with square number 2. My water is pretty dirty, so I'm gonna go get some new water, and then in the next video I'll be back to show you my painting of square number 3.